Good morning, welcome along to Ireland AM. It is Tuesday, the 26th of September.
It is. Today we have got gold medals, glorious treats and glowing skin coming up on the show.
It's a busy old show. First up, parents of children on spinal surgery waiting list in Temple Street. They are threatening to boycott an upcoming review. We are going to have the latest on that very, very shortly.
There's a lot of moving pieces, so we're going to try to explain as much as we can. And also, with childcare providers up and down the country closing their doors from today until Thursday, we want to know how the creche strikes, protests, there's all different names for them, how they're affecting you, because you're waking up this morning, you've got kids. I'm sure that you've got to get on with your life. So how are you doing today and what is the alternative? What have you come up with? 0896 111 111.
Are you frustrated? Are you fully in support of the strikes and protests that are going on? Also, coming up later on in the show, Olympian Derval O'Rourke. She's going to be here. She's going to talk athletic achievement for Team Ireland and, of course, the importance of female role models.
Alan is over in the kitchen. What else is coming up?
I am. I'm in the kitchen. Well, it's not really. The breakfast bar.
Sorry.
You're all right. You're all right.
I've only been here 2 years.
Now, the Skin Nerd is walking us through some of the latest skincare trends. Plus, she's going to be answering some of your viewers' questions and concerns, so get them into us. And Captain Leighton is whipping up a sweet spectacle in the kitchen. It's Bailey's cheesecake is on the menu this morning. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And 0896 111 111 if you want the Skin Nerd to answer any of your questions a little later on. Now, Derek is out and about in the Royal County this morning. How are you getting on? Is it raining there, Derek?
Yes, Al, the Royal County, yes it is. It's hitting pretty hard here at the moment. In fact, we have that band of heavy rain right through the central spine of the country at the moment, and that is tracking eastwards as we speak. Some heavy thundery rain out there today ahead of the arrival of Storm Agnes. That is a deep low depression out in the Atlantic at the moment, due to hit early tomorrow morning, bringing with it some damaging gusts and severe travel disruption as well. Anyway, Trim in County Meath is where we're at this morning, and we're here to celebrate Down Syndrome Ireland's artistic swimming team. Now, they recently scooped gold in the European Championships over in Italy, so we're going to be spending the morning with them, as well as a live performance in the pool. It's going to be a special morning down here in County Meath. But for now, back to you guys in the studio.
Are you taking part?
Well, I will. I'll try. I have my
me?
shorts with me.
Get into Speedos.
And my goggles and my cap.
Never.
I could be swimming here in Meath because it's pretty wet.
Okay.
Never miss an opportunity, Derek, and we are looking forward to that, of course, as ever. It's going
Just happen to have the Speedos with me, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Fair play to him. OK, it is time now to get the news with Geraldine Lina.
Thanks, Tommy. Good morning. A major operation is underway off the Wexford coast after a boat, which was suspected to be carrying a large quantity of drugs, ran aground. It's believed the trawler had been under observation by the Navy and the Garda National Drug Squad when it hit a sandbank off Blackwater late on Sunday night. 2 men have reportedly been arrested in connection with the operation, which is continuing this morning. Over 1,000 early childcare providers will begin a 3-day strike today, impacting families around the country. The row centres on what providers say is the low rate of funding paid to them by the government, which has remained the same since 2017, despite a significant rise in the cost of living. The Federation of Early Childcare Providers have not ruled out further strike action unless their concerns are addressed. Childcare providers, parents and employees will protest at the Dáil later this afternoon. A man in his 20s will appear in court today, charged in connection with the death of a boy in a hit-and-run incident in County Donegal at the weekend. 9-year-old Ronan Wilson from County Tyrone was pronounced dead at the scene after the crash in Bundoran on Saturday night. The man is due to appear before Carrigan Shannon District Court in Leitrim later this morning. Efforts will get underway again today to try to resolve the Garda roster row. The Garda associations are due to meet with the Commissioner this afternoon. The proposed new roster would see major changes to a Garda's working week.
This ongoing row in the force centres on a new roster the Garda Commissioner Drew Harris plans to introduce. It would see Gardaí working a 6 days on, 4 days off schedule instead of the current 4 days of work followed by 4 days off brought in during the pandemic. The new roster is due to be introduced on November 6th, but the association representing rank and file Gardaí, the GRA, says it won't enter negotiations unless that date is deferred. The GRA, which represents 10,800 staff, says the new roster is unpopular and unworkable. Discussions to try to resolve the row ended without agreement last week. The four Garda associations are due to meet Commissioner Harris again this afternoon in a bid to end the impasse. It comes ahead of the GRA's special delegation conference on Wednesday, where officers will discuss the issues and decide their next course of action. Trish Laverty, Virgin Media News.
US President Joe Biden has hit out at a small group of extreme House Republicans who he says is taking the US once again to the brink of a federal government shutdown. Funding to federal agencies will stop on September the 30th unless the US Congress finds a way to agree on a spending plan for the new federal fiscal year that starts on Sunday. Last night, Biden expressed his frustration with some House Republicans who he said were standing in the way of a deal.
Just a few months ago, the Speaker of the House and I agreed to spending levels for the government. We were up right to the very edge, almost reneged on our debt, and that we're going to fund essential priorities and still cut the deficit by $1 trillion over the next decade. Now, a small group of extreme House Republicans, they don't want to live up to that deal, and everyone in America could be faced with paying the price for that.
At least 6 people are dead and 15 are missing following a landslide in Guatemala's capital. Heavy rain caused the landslide, which swept away several homes. A 5-year-old girl is among the dead. Landslides are a constant threat during Guatemala's rainy season, which extends to November. US online travel agency Booking.com has been blocked from buying a flight booking service in the EU because it would have strengthened its dominant position in the market. The European Commission had said it had warned Booking Holdings about its concerns, but that the solutions offered by the company were not sufficient. The Commission says the merger would have resulted in a more limited choice of hotels for consumers and higher costs. And fine for now, Lego has abandoned its plans to make its bricks from recycled plastic bottles. The toy maker made the decision after more than 3 years of testing more environmentally friendly materials. It said the recycled plastic wasn't durable or safe, and the manufacturing process would have caused more harm to the environment.
You need to be chilled to handle Irish weather. That's why Chill sponsor weather updates on Virgin Media One.
Thank you, Ger, and a very good morning. We're broadcasting live here from Trim in County Meath this Tuesday. Now, coming up later on this morning, we're down here to time with Down Syndrome's Ireland artistic swimming team. They recently scooped gold in the European Championships over in Italy, so we're going to be paying a visit, catching up with them a little bit later on this morning, as well as a live performance in the pool. That's all coming your way at 9:35. Anyway, we're getting past 7 o'clock here together. Let's take a look weather-wise at how it's shaping up now with Ronan McIntyre with us and cameras. And boy, oh boy, it's not a good start out there this morning. We're seeing plenty of heavy rain out there through parts of Donegal, Derry, Cavan, Monaghan, right through the central spine of the country. Parts of Carlow, Kilkenny, Waterford and Wexford. Some very heavy downpours there at the moment. So do take extra care if you're making a break for it later on this morning. Heading off to work or out on the school run now, back by a fresh to locally gusty southerly wind. Now, right across today, it is that mixture of sunshine and scattered showers. Now, the good news is that it will brighten up from the west as the day goes on. Very similar to yesterday, where that rain does fall, will be heavy, quite thundery in nature for a time as well. Top values of around 14 to 18 degrees. And into tonight, another wet and another windy one in store, but all eyes really then to the south ahead of the arrival of Storm Agnes early on Wednesday morning, and that will bring with it some severe and damaging gusts. Plenty of travel disruption with a risk of flooding into tomorrow. So you have been warned well in advance with overnight lows there back to around 11 to 14 degrees. So that's how we're shaping up here in a fresh and blustery Trim in County Meath at the moment. We're down at the Leisure Centre. We'll be back again live at 7:35.
You need to be chilled to handle Irish weather. That's why Chill sponsor weather updates on Virgin Media One.
It's time now to take a look at this morning's paper, starting with the Irish Times. Its headline: lower tax rate considered for landlords. Landlords could pay less tax on rental income in an effort to persuade them to stay in the market under proposals put forward in advance of budget talks intensifying this week.
1 in 8 homes now in arrears on their energy bills. That's the front page of the Irish Independent. Figures from the CRU show that 256,000 residential electricity customers were in arrears in the 3 months up to June. This is an increase of almost 55,000 compared to the first 3 months of the year.
The Examiner leads with Martin, shorten teacher training by a year. The Taoiseach is pushing to reduce the length of teacher training courses in a bid to lure more people into the profession amid a severe shortage of teachers. Micheál Martin also suggests more payments for extra qualifications.
Alarm grows at Garda watchdog office break-in. That's a top story in the Daily Mail. Whistleblowers and politicians have called for full disclosure into the break-in at the GSOC headquarters in Dublin city centre earlier this month.
The Mirror's front page, Brand, sex assault claims grow. Scotland Yard has opened a probe into several claims of sexual assault against Russell Brand as the number of allegations grow from across the UK. Brand denies all of the claims and no arrests have been made.
The Sun also leads with this story, Cops probe Brand sex assaults. Russell Brand launched an hour-long rant about free speech last night, just 15 minutes after the police stated they were probing the new allegations.
The Star leads with €140 million snowstorm. 2 men have been arrested after a fishing trawler with €140 million worth of cocaine on a board ran aground amidst high winds in Wexford on Sunday night. The vessel, which was being tracked by the Navy, hit a sandbank off the coast of Blackwater.
And the Herald similarly goes with coke on the water. Multiple bales of the drugs are now thought to be in the sea.
We'll have more on that story shortly, but up next, parents at the heart of the Temple Street spinal surgery scandal. They are demanding to meet with the Taoiseach.
Yeah, we're going to get the latest on that story and hear how some of the parents have their concerns after the break. Good morning, you're very welcome back. Now, advocacy groups representing families that have been impacted by the Temple Street spinal surgery crisis announced they will boycott an external review unless their demands are met.
Here to update us is co-leader of Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus Paediatric Advocacy Group, Una Kitely, and legal advisor for scoliosis support groups in Ireland, Raymond Bradley. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. If we just start with you, Una, we had your co-leader, Amanda Coughlin-Santry, on with us last week speaking about this, and it was about the external reviews and how you were not happy with them. You didn't really have much faith in them. What has happened in the weeks since then, Una?
Well, I suppose the two reports and the two reviews that CHI said they couldn't publish have now been published. We're still awaiting a further report from CHI Crumlin to be published. Minister Donnelly has said that he will meet us. We have said, look, we're happy to meet, but Taoiseach needs to be there. This has gone way beyond any kind of normal scope here. And then Brendan Gloucester has said that he's the HSE and CHI are going to bring in someone to do an external review. Now, there's so many parts to this, right? And in essence, I feel the HSE and CHI are telling the bus driver where to go. Mr. Nygam is the bus driver. He's on the route, he's driving. The parents and the children in the centre of this are in the back, being quiet and not being allowed to decide where the route of this external review goes. And that is not acceptable. It is totally not acceptable.
So are you saying that the narrative around this has been kind of pinned on one surgeon, but that this is actually a bigger issue that has not even been addressed by the Minister for Health, Stephen Donnelly?
Absolutely. What has happened here has been failures in processes, failures in quality measures, failures in procurement procedures. And we've already had 3 reviews, right? We're going to review the reviews, and we're expected to believe that one man is going to uncover all that has gone on. We are told, and it's on spinab.ie, that as parents and children with lived experience of spina bifida, we are the experts. So why are we not driving this bus?
Una, you put it so well, like that is just a metaphor that everyone can absolutely understand as to what you're doing. One of the things that has really emerged from this And it is to do, and we'll bring you in on this, Bernard, in a minute, but it is to do, and everyone's focusing in on the springs and the coils and the fact that these were not EU certified. And we had Amanda here last year, and it felt like... Last week, sorry. And it felt like what had happened is that someone, 5 minutes before surgery, went down the shop and bought something. Whereas Amanda was sitting there going, no, this is a procurement thing. You plan a surgery for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. So people knew about what was going on. They had to be okayed. Is that what the situation is? Because there's a lot of focus on what was put into children's bodies.
Yeah, and it does. It feels like, I know she was only on a week ago, Maren, but it absolutely feels like a year for us here. So I suppose with all that, okay, that this issue of the springs was not mentioned in either review, okay? This information came out online on a Friday night. I can tell you, we were shook to our souls. And we're 11 days since then, and we don't know why CHI did not tell the parents at the centre of this about this. And that is the bigger question that parents have at this point. Everyone's saying about what is to materialise and what was known to them at the time and what they believed at the time, okay? But what the parents know, okay, from lying on the floors of these hospitals is 100% categorically that the HSE and CHI have answers, and therefore they should not be setting the terms of reference, and this report should be independent of them.
Interesting. Raymond, let's bring you in on this because you're offering legal advice to these advocacy groups. And when we're seeing this from the HSE and against Stephen Donnelly as well, only offering to meet these groups for 30 minutes as well. Do you think that they have to see the Taoiseach? It's imperative that we move above the Health Minister on this.
On a daily basis now, I meet parents who are devastated by the consequences that have occurred. I can't emphasise the lack of faith, the lack of confidence, the lack of trust that exists in the HSE's systems. There's been a complete dereliction of duty on the part of the HSE in relation to little children. That is a national scandal. I meet parents who have children with scoliosis and spina bifida. They have known before a surgeon certifies that their child needs surgery, that that's an inevitable requirement. So that's something that can be planned for into the system. Yet, some of those parents indicate that they've been waiting 3-4 years. So this was a known event, and from the date of certification for surgery, they're in the list for that length of time.
We know that some of these children are now inoperable. That is what has happened because it's gone too long. And as you said, that this is a scandal. One of the things is that patients' data has been used with the Boston Review, and the parents weren't informed about this.
That's correct. It is a scandal, and it's a scandal because it has been those children have been let languish, and now we have a solution by way of an investigation where the HSE is effectively setting up an investigation in relation to its own dereliction of duty. It is the governing body for this proposed investigation. How can a body that it controls an investigation indicate that that investigation into itself is impartial and fair? When you come to the Boston issue, there's been a breach of data in the sense that there were patients who did not know that they were the subject matter of this review. The first time they found out that the review had occurred was when they were called in to be told the results of the review. Now, that is not proper humanitarian approach to healthcare. Forget about the legalities. It shows what the focus is. Yeah. The focus is elsewhere than patient-centred issues.
I suppose, Una, in relation to this, I know that you see, this is the thing, people are kind of going, OK, this is a data breach and this has been sent to a review that you weren't aware of. I'm assuming you want this to be wide scoping. You want this to take absolutely every single thing in, and you want your eyes on what's being done. Is that what you're asking for?
Yeah, and there's really no winners here, Maren. You know, this is not some game of battleship. I'm not a politician. I'm a mother. I'm a mother of multiple children who are going to batter now in a minute when the alarm goes off.
Yeah.
But sorry, like, it's just so all encompassing. But at the center of this, we need to put the focus back here. This needs to be wide. It's going to take ages. We know that. Our children are already waiting ages. Okay, so there's no winners here. There's no, oh, everything's been sorted, let's get back to surgeries. But what we don't want to happen is we don't want to have to wait and wait and wait and wait. And all the time we're waiting, every politician say, oh, we need to wait for the results of the review. Shh, potty in the back, be quiet. That's what we're going to be told. And we're not going to wait for months and months and months to then get a half, I could use a word, but I won't because we're on TV and it's morning time, but a half-done report. So that isn't going to happen. And the Taoiseach needs to accept that, okay? I will perish on this rock on this. He needs to meet us. He needs to meet the 4 mammies who have been for years calling this government into account for their treatment of children with spina bifida and scoliosis. And that needs to happen.
And by not meeting, though, the Minister for Health, meeting the Taoiseach, he's going to be able to just push it back. Well, I'll have to review this with the Minister for Health.
That's already happened. Donnelly has already said, oh, that's for the Taoiseach, right? Now, someone needs to take this by the 2 hands and do something about it, because patient has worn thin and parents have been failed and our little children have been failed here.
Yeah.
They already have enough to deal with. Yeah. They have had more surgeries and more nights in hospitals than they've ever had on holidays. And they need answers. And the Taoiseach here needs to meet us.
Una, I'm just asking you real quick, how do you feel when you hear that we're at a €1 billion health overspend and you've got children who you said who are now inoperable because they've been waiting so long for certain surgeries?
I suppose we are used to this, Maren. We're used to the way the government treats us as parents of children with disabilities. We're used to the way mothers of children with spina bifida are looked at by the government. We've been told, why didn't you take folic acid? Many of us have, and even if we haven't, we're blaming again parents, we're blaming mothers, we're blaming families.
My goodness.
And we're used to this. But we're asking now. We're telling, you're going to sort this once and for all. And this external review, this next one, will be independent of the HSE and the CHI. And until we have assurances, CHI and the HSE have absolutely no business giving our medical records over to Mr. Nygan.
No, absolutely. Listen, Una, thank you so much for talking to us with this morning. You can absolutely see the passion. And I'm sure you're just there representing so many other parents and families out there as well. Una Keightley, co-leader of Spina Bifida Hydrocephalus Paediatric Advocacy Group. Thank you for joining us. So important. And Raymond Bradley, of course, who is offering legal advice to that. We would love to get your opinion on this. 0896 111 111. Please do get in touch.
Welcome back. You'll have seen in the news 2 men have been reportedly been arrested after a fishing trawler suspected to be carrying cocaine worth €140 million ran aground off the coast of Wexford on Sunday night.
So join us with that story and everything else is journalist and author Aoife Moore, best-selling author. Good morning to you, Aoife. Great to have you with us. So can you tell us more? This fishing trawler ran aground in County Wexford last night.
Yes, it was around 11:30 on Sunday night. The boat ran aground, and when the RNLI turned up to help, they were told that this boat was being tracked by the Navy's William Butler Yeats, and that boat was reportedly carrying members of the Garda National Drug Squad.
Yeah. So
reportedly, there's 140 million worth of cocaine on it, and 2 foreign nationals have been arrested. The operation lasted ages. They said it was 6 hours because the weather was so bad that they found it quite hard to get the men off the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they said there was huge swell and winds, and then while they were trying to winch the trawler free, they were told not to take anyone off because the Gardaí were already on the
yeah, like this was a proper like search. They were tracking it. They knew what was going on there.
Yeah,
and this was an operation for the guards.
And it just happened to be a coincidence that the boat then ran aground and got any bother, and the RNLA showed up and said, "Let us help," and the guard said, "No,
you ain't
we are."
But you're too nice. You stay out of this.
The Herald does say that they reckon that there's loads of bales of cocaine in the water. That they must
well,
be
that happened in Donegal recently as
Yeah.
well. You've never seen so many Donegal teenagers like walking the beaches.
Sweet Lord.
So yeah, they were saying that it was actually must have been quite distressing for the men on board as well because the weather was so bad and they were trying to pull the rescue stuff off. But they're both off as far as we know, and they're both safe. They have been arrested. But this is now the second time that we've seen this in as many months.
Yeah.
So again, there hasn't been an official statement about how much drugs was on board and if it's in the water, but that is what the reports are all saying.
Yeah, it always feels like people who put prices on houses going, that's worth €1 million. Yeah, that's worth 140.
Well,
It's like they're making it up.
There is a lot of discussion about how drugs are weighed and priced.
And what happens?
Yeah,
an awful lot saying if they had more Navy vessels, how many more people would they actually be catching? But anyway, that's what's going on, and it will be a story that is developing. Now, there are childcare strikes. People are waking up this morning. 3 days, no childcare. A lot of places are closed.
Yeah, this is what we are going to be seeing now. There's actually 2 sets of strikes going on in the next month. So childcare providers, parents and employees are going to march on the Dáil today. Now, the Minister for Children, Roger O'Gorman, said that this isn't warranted because this government has said they've put so much money into childcare already. They want to cut costs for parents. But what we are hearing from the childcare providers is that the core funding, which is provided by the government, is not enough. It's not cutting it. Also, what we also hear is there isn't enough childcare providers as it is. Therefore, staff are scarcer and everything gets more expensive. They're going to march on TD's offices, I'm assuming government TD's offices, on Wednesday and Thursday. Roger O'Gorman said there's a lot more work to do, but we've made great steps forward in the last 3 years and I want to continue that, and I'll use this for budget negotiations, which we are in the middle of at the minute. But the fees are fixed at the minute.
Yeah.
And
it's the same price as it was in 2017.
Yes, considering we've just had record inflation.
And the prices, the wages have all shot up. Obviously, the costs for these childcare providers have all gone up. Insurance, inflation, everything else. And we had some people on from the childcare sector telling us that, yes, Roger O'Gorman is saying there is €1 billion being spent. Where is it gone?
Where is it? Exactly.
We have asked them to clarify where is this money going, because we ain't getting it.
And we also know that we have the highest childcare costs in Western Europe as well. So people don't feel like they're getting any bang for their buck, and now people are going to have to stay off work, and everything is going to be affected because childcare is going to have to be on strike for 3
And we'd
days.
love to hear from parents on this morning. You are waking up. What have you been able to do? Have you been talking to your childcare providers? 0896 111.
Have you had to take the day off work?
Absolutely.
Like, who's had to take the day off work because of this? Because, like, even Elaine Dunn just said, like, she had to borrow to pay her staff. Which is
now, from one backbone of the society to the other, community workers are also going on strike. So 5,000 health and community workers are going to strike indefinitely from the 17th of October. So that is everyone from the Irish Wheelchair Association, Western Care Association, Enable Ireland, Cove Hospital, the Daughters of Charity, DePaul Ireland. These people are the caring sector. They do all the grunt work. They're the backbone of society. So even though they are not, they're funded by the state as well, even though they are not directly state employees. So they said that they want an unambiguous and clear commitment that equal pay will be restored to workers with no ifs, ands or buts. And the IMNO said they Section 39 workers, which these are what these people are called, have undergone the same rigorous training and education as their counterparts in the HSE, and they are not rewarded in the same way. This is very, very going to be very difficult for the government, because we are also coming into the budget. Which is happening very, very soon, the next 2 weeks, and they are going to want to be seen to placate these people and make, because childcare was a big thing for Fine Gael. They wanted to show they were looking after, you know, the squeeze medal and all this. This does not look good.
But the HSE, how can they then help fund this and bring more pay parity into this when they've already overspent by $1 billion? So surely they're going to have to reduce.
So in the summer economic statement, we were told that there was around 2 billion available for new spends. If the HSE has overrun by 1 billion, that only leaves 1 billion for
only
new
1 billion.
spends, and that is also that's everything from higher wages, inflation, the care sector.
How do you run by over? Like this is we just can't be trusted. It really scares me of what's going on in the health department. And I know we spent a lot of summer talking about the RTE. Yeah. What the hell is going on in the HSE? 0896 111 111. We would love to hear from you. Aoife Grace Moore, best-selling author.
Thank you.
Great to have you.
Go get her book. Great to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Good to see you, Aoife.
Bye. Up next, with many households struggling. Oh, here we go. With energy bills highest in Europe, we'll have advice on how to swap and save.
Stay with us.
Lord help us.
Thanks for staying with us. Some more good news now. Recent figures show 1 in 8 homes are now in arrears on their electricity bills and energy bills, being we have the most expensive electricity in Europe.
Yeah, that's the front page of the Irish Independent today, ahead of the colder months. Dara Cassidy from bonkers.ie is here to tell us how we can save our precious pennies. It's been kind of a dour first hour here, Dara, because there's no good news. Wholesale electricity prices have dropped. But we're seeing 1/8 of people are in arrears. What is going on?
Yeah, I mean, wholesale prices have dropped, which is obviously good news, but what viewers need to remember is that they've dropped from really, really high levels.
Yeah.
This is why we're still paying really, really high prices. We have seen, though, some price drops being announced over the past 2 weeks. So they range around 10 to 20%. So obviously that is good news.
Yeah.
But
these are from companies who are making supernormal profits. Like their profits are
some of them were.
Good.
Some of it was being made, though, on the generation side of the business, not on the supply side. So which kind of does get very, very technical.
Okay.
And we did see around 2 or 3 suppliers leave the markets over the past 2 years, which would suggest that if there was lots of profit being made, why would they leave? But the thing is, though, is that there are some price drops on the way, which is good. They come into effect in November, but despite the price drops, even after prices fall by 10 to 20%, prices are still going to be around double normal levels.
What it was.
So it'll still be another expensive winter to heat and light our homes, unfortunately.
And you were saying here, you're commenting in the Irish Independent this morning, 1 in 8 homes now in arrears. Your advice there, and I'm sure your advice always is, talk to your energy supplier.
Yeah.
Don't put your head in the sand about this. If you are struggling, talk to your energy supplier. They will help you.
Yeah, I mean, I can't overemphasize this enough. And by the way, this goes for any type of bill. If you're struggling with your mortgage, if you're struggling with your broadband, but particularly if you're struggling with your energy bills, there is help and support out there. Your supplier, they may be able to put you on a payment plan. They may be able to help you out through a hardship fund that they have.
Some of these have set up a hardship fund, like Electric Ireland of what, 5 million or something?
Yeah, about 5 or 10 million. Bord Gáis Energy is the same. So really, I cannot overemphasize it enough. Don't put your head in the sand, because you're just shoring up problems for a different
hardship
time.
fund. It's 2023.
Yeah, I know.
Feels like something from decades ago.
Yeah, it
not
does.
Right.
And I mean, it doesn't help, I think, in Ireland that we have quite a cold and damp climate. So heating our homes is that little bit more difficult. We have a pretty poor housing stock. Unless your house was built within the past 10 years, it can be quite difficult to heat it.
The BAR ratings on houses.
Really high energy prices. So we kind of get the worst of everything in Ireland when it comes to heating.
Can you talk to me about a standing fee? I'm hearing about this a lot, that a standing fee is being reduced. What is it?
Yeah, so standing charges, when people get their bill, it's made up of the unit rate, which is the charge for using your gas and electricity, government taxation, we all know about that, and then the standing charge, which is a fixed daily charge that everyone pays. Being honest, it's just another charge to cover a supplier's profits and their operation costs. Still come up with all of these, really, really nice ways of trying to describe what it's for, but really that's just it. In Ireland, they're quite high, and they were increased quite significantly during the crisis. And it's kind of quite controversial because everyone pays it, and they pay the exact same amount. So if you're a millionaire in a 6-bed mansion, let's say in Dalkey, you'll pay the same standing charge as a pensioner in a 1-bed. So it's kind of what's called quite regressive in that sense. So it was quite controversial. But some slightly good news is that when Electric Ireland and Bord Gáis in particular reduced their prices, they also reduced the standing charge. So at least that's something.
So the show they should be. Tell us then, who is the What's the best company to go with at the moment? Who is the cheapest price?
Yeah, so I always get asked that. It really does depend, and there's no one answer. When it comes to energy, I mean, if it was broadband, for example, you might say, well, like, listen, who's the fastest? Who's the best customer service? Who has the best channels with the TV package? When it comes to energy, for most people, it probably will be, listen, who's the cheapest, you know? Thankfully, customer service isn't a huge issue with energy companies, although it can be sometimes, don't get me wrong. But usually when it comes to energy, it's who's the cheapest. So people will be saying, who is the cheapest? It kind of does depend. You really need to go onto a site like bonkers.ie, do a comparison.
What does it depend on, though?
It depends on many things. Obviously, it'll depend on the unit rate, but it depends on the type of meter that you have. So do you have a standard normal meter, a day-night meter, a smart meter? And then obviously it depends on if you're in a rural area or an urban area, because if you're in a rural area, you'll be charged a slightly higher standing charge that we were talking about than if you're in an urban area.
Why?
And then when you use your electricity, it needs to be taken into account as well.
Far away.
Yeah, because you're kind of far away, I guess.
So far away.
It's longer for the person to go and put the meter in, so you get a bigger standing
The suppliers will say that there's more costs if you're in a rural area as opposed to an urban area. But all those things come into effect when trying to find out who's the cheapest, and then obviously how much energy you use.
We do talk about consumer inertia and the fact that we won't switch providers. Could you go, I'm going to switch providers 4 times this year?
You could, but usually when you sign up to a new deal, it lasts for a year.
Yeah.
Some of
Can
the
you
deals,
break it?
You can't. You'll be charged €50 per fuel. Okay, so that's just one thing. Now, having said that, like, being honest, I would say to people, if you are switching, whether it's your gas, your electricity, your broadband, your mobile, even once every 2 years, you're doing great. Most people don't do it at all.
Yeah.
So, they're not going to do it maybe 3 or 4 times. Yep. So even if you can just do it once a year, and I would definitely say to people who are watching at the moment, if you haven't switched your gas and electricity over the past year or so, now is the time to do it. We're coming into winter again. Energy bills, despite the drops, are still at record levels. And just to put it into monetary terms, despite the drops, the average household this winter is going to be paying an extra €2,000 on the gas and electricity than they would have around maybe 2 or 3 years ago when prices were at kind of more normal levels.
So have
Santa
a look.
Claus is in the studio. 0896 111. We would love to hear from you. Dara Cassidy from bonkers.ie. Thank you so much for joining us. Back with you in Ireland AM very shortly.
Good morning. Now, our next guest represented Ireland 3 times at the Olympics. Wow. Before hanging up her spikes back in 2014.
Yes, she jumped hurdles into the nation's hurdly heart, and she joins us right now. Good morning.
Hello.
Dermot O'Rourke, how are you?
I feel in your heart.
Our hurdly heart.
Yeah,
our hurdly heart. We were all saying your name a lot over the past few weeks, because it's a really weird thing. We're all like, will Sarah Lavin break Derfil's record? And we're cheering for it. How do you feel about that? Because it's your record. You had it for years.
Yeah, a lot of people were messaging me about it as well, telling me how much they wanted it broken.
It's weird.
Going, is that mean or not? Weird, but really good. So the record, I mean, biased, I thought the record was brilliant. I loved having it. It was fairly world class.
For 20 years.
20 years.
20 years, yeah. I first broke it in 2003. And and then I finally broke it, I don't know, maybe 2010. So, yeah, oh my God.
Oh, show Sarah, don't show Dermot.
I actually was like, is that me breaking? No, she looks brilliant.
She does look brilliant.
She looks brilliant. And Sarah's been at this for a decade. Like, she's been trying to get to this level for the past 10 years. And she's an amazing person. And I think to have an Irish female sprint hurdler out there is really cool. Like, I love seeing her. My daughter thinks she's amazing, so it's cool.
For her to have that record, it's like Johnny Sexton just overtaking Ronan O'Gara with the points record, and you could see how much it meant to him. I heard something about Ronan O'Gara. He kind of said, listen, I will always be happy for someone who's willing to work hard and sacrifice to go and get something like this. But at the same time, you didn't have any records to break. Do you know what I mean? Like Sarah always had that carrot. But for you, like, you were just going out there and performing at the best of your ability and just setting these records, which it's a kind of a different one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny you'd mention the Raj thing, because I saw an interview with him and I was like, oh my God, Raj has kind of put this in context for me as well. Because I was saying I had it for 20 years, so I got that record at the start of my career and I never thought too much about it. I didn't have the same weight or gravitas on it because it was mine. I kind of owned it. I was like, oh, that's fine, that's mine. Yeah. Whereas I think Sarah came into it, she was such a talented junior that she came into it with this like big target to go after. But that's brilliant as well, because that's kind of what you want to do, isn't it? You want to leave it at a high level and then have someone make it even better. So, yeah, it's quite cool.
And then we did, I suppose, at the Worlds, we were all watching Budapest. It was just... It was brilliant. Are you laughing at me? Just stop it.
Budapest.
Yeah. Budapest. It was a beautiful accent.
Budapest.
Did you, when you were doing the punditry, Budapest or Budapest?
I was not. I was not for the first time in ages. It was on TV3, which was amazing.
Oh, sorry.
Virgin. Sorry, I was on Virgin.
Yes, and Will Dalton did such an amazing job. But like we were all like we became massive fans of athletics again, and that's what the World Championships and Olympics do. And particularly with like Ciara Mageean, Rashida Adeleke as well, like didn't get medals. Yeah. But there's so much hope there, isn't there?
Positivity, isn't there?
Really positive. And as well, the ladies are so good at what they do at such a high level. Like track and field is such an incredibly global sport. Yeah. And for them to come fourth is unbelievable. And I think to come fourth a year out from an Olympics that's in Europe, I think that's very positive. I think Rashida has a huge chance of being on the podium next year. And I don't say that lightly because I do the opposite. I tend to play people down because I don't like anybody young having pressure, but she's that good. There's no point in playing her down. She's amazing.
Right.
So it's
and she's just cool as a cucumber. Like afterwards when she was chatting with Will after the race and she's like, she's taken things in her, like mentally she seems like one of the strongest individuals I have ever heard as a sports person. Yeah, she's incredible mentally. Like she's obviously really physically gifted. But then I always describe her, she's almost like the calm in the chaos, because it's chaotic. Like, you know, when you're at that level, you stand out there and you go, God, this is quite chaotic. And she's just that calm in it. And I love to see her. I love to see her run. I can't wait to see her now in the next year because she's turned professional. She signed a big contract with Nike and there's a lot of change in her life with that. So how she navigates that, but I think she'll navigate it really well. And then obviously Paris is the big thing for all of us. And with Ciara as well, it was just amazing to see her come back the way that she has.
And Ciara Mageean is at a different point in her career as well. Like, there's different types of fourths. So you've Rashida coming fourth, age 20, start of her career. You've Ciara Mageean on the other end of her career, you know, maybe 3 or 4 years left in it, coming fourth. And is this all teeing up for Ciara Mageean to get an Olympic medal, maybe? You know, that's what I hope. I love Ciara. I think she's an amazing girl. She's a brilliant, brilliant girl. She did a big homecoming there in the past few days. I was watching it on social media. And she does a huge amount for the sport. And she's been consistently at this now for a long time. She's
an absolute star. Like, class. It kind of does, it makes people feel a little bit bad, though, when you're sitting on the sofa and you're watching these incredible athletes setting records as well. And kind of, like... But you were that person for a long time as well. And even during lockdown, like, you became that person with your online platform, Derval.ie, like, getting people out active. Like, it is a big part of your life, even though you have hung up the spikes.
Mainly because, and I'll be really honest, I totally struggle, like everyone, and I'm not sure how much you struggle now at the other side. So I need to find ways to motivate me. And like when I was running, I hit all my major championships. So I was like, that motivates me. Whereas now it's like, okay, what motivates me? So I always look for hooks. So like I'm in Dublin today because we have the GT 5K tonight, which is the Grand Thornton race, which is amazing, really positive event. It's a team event, individual event, people just coming together, running 5K. I'll be down there and the docks running around.
Running the 5K?
Yeah, I run it really slowly and really badly. Yeah, no, I'm not good at it.
You're a hurdler, like,
I know. I might hurdle as the odd person. If
I was just about to say, when people are, if I'm lying down going, I'm kind of,
I'll be over you. Yeah, I'll just go straight over them. But
I've actually seen people for a bit of a laugh lying down going, jump me, Derval.
Derval's going, that joke is just not funny anymore. I've heard it so many times.
I think it's great.
So, like, yeah, so I suppose hooks. What are your hooks? So, like, there's that event tonight. So can you find an event? Like, and to be fair, Grand Thornton have been brilliant. They've been at this since before COVID. Now they're still going with that event.
Brilliant.
Online for me, I think, is a huge hook for people. That hybrid of doing some online, doing some offline. I work a lot in the online space, and I think connection. Can you get people who'll make you want to move? Like, whether that's in a club or wherever. So yeah, I struggle. So we all struggle.
It's nice to hear, to be fair, because it's one of those things when you try to get back
Yeah.
So I've been bad for the last 2 months, and then you kind of go into the gym and your fitness isn't there, or you just don't feel you can move as well, and you get a bit down on yourself, and you're like, I don't want to do this. You know, you do. It is a thing where you just start feeling down on yourself.
But you know what I always think, right? There's science now. If you do 10 minutes, it's beneficial. So I always think, make a rule with yourself. I go, I'm going to do 5 minutes. And if after 5 minutes I want to stop, I can stop. So I have all these conversations with myself all the time. And you rarely stop after 5 minutes. You'll kind of keep going. And then you know once you hit 10 minutes, you're making a little bit of gain. So just do something. Just move.
Yeah.
Do you have this with the kids as well? Like, are you big into getting them being active? Because as we mentioned, like, you're a 3-time Olympian. Your husband, of course, he's 2-time Olympian sailor.
The poor
like,
things.
Kind of setting the bar pretty high. Like, what are they like? And, like, are you a pushy parent?
Do you know what? I've gone the complete opposite.
Have
So,
you?
yeah, and same with my husband. I know how hard it is. So, like, I know how hard it is at the highest level. And I know how almost unusual it is to be at the highest level. So, I do this thing where my daughter's 8, okay? So I do this thing with my daughter where I go 10 years' time. In 10 years, when she's 18, I want her to love exercise.
Yeah.
And that's honest to God. And I think if I can get her to 18 that she loves, I don't care what it is. Does she love to go out for a run? Does she love to go to the gym? Does she love to play tennis? And it's part of her life every week.
Yeah.
I think as a parent, I've totally succeeded. And when it comes to the high performance side of it, I think have at it. They can do whatever they want.
Though.
I never did the community games.
Did you?
What?
No, so that's a record the two of them could take in the house.
They could do the community games. You never did the community games?
No, I never did it.
We did community
So
games.
we did, yeah.
So
Says a lot.
You're a smart
Says a lot,
person as
doesn't
well.
it?
Even I did the community games.
Yeah.
Mosney,
Yeah, it's great days out as well.
Such good days.
Oh, dangerous.
They were amazing.
Listen, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me. It's
Lovely
been
to have you.
Yeah.
So good to have you in.
It's great, and can't wait to see you hurdling people now.
Oh,
this
yeah,
evening.
I was
gonna say, you lie
We're
down.
definitely going to go as well.
You
go
lie
watch.
down and let her hurdle it. See how we go.
On the ad break, we'll do a little hurdling.
Terrible, thank you. A pleasure as always.
Genuinely want to see that. Still to come, we have got a fresh batch of brilliant books to discuss in our book club.
Plus, we're having a Tipsy Tuesday with a Bailey's cheese. Oh my goodness! Speaking
Good
of
day.
hurdling, stay with us.
Now, we've an unbeatable classic in the kitchen this morning. Her name is Catherine Leahy.
Unbeatable is right.
Catherine, you're spoiling us this morning, but you're not spoiling us because we don't have a slice of it yet.
No,
Are
not
you
yet.
holding it back?
We get one in a minute now.
What are we having?
We're having a Bailey's cheesecake with Toblerone in it.
Oh.
Now,
Brilliant.
into this bowl, I'm going to put 1
Are you
pound.
sure we can't have a little slice?
No,
of it
wait a
now,
minute now. Just wait a minute now. Hold
Just
the head.
a little bit there,
Hold the head
Catherine.
now a minute, right?
Just a little bit.
1 pound of Philadelphia cream
so
cheese.
unfair.
And by the way, don't use the light Philadelphia.
Why?
The cheesecake won't set as well if you use the lighter one, I've discovered. Yeah.
And it doesn't taste as good.
Did you actually do it with the lighter one and it just didn't set?
Didn't set, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
That's interesting
ounce,
because
yeah.
the cheesecake, that's the one, like that's the tricky one that you take the tin off and
that's
then it
right,
all
you're going to
just
see it now.
crumbles.
In here we have the biscuit base. So in there I used a 300-gram packet of digestive biscuits covered in chocolate. You can use the digestive
Oh,
biscuits
you
on
actually
their own.
the one covered in chocolate?
Yes. Now, I crush the biscuits.
Yeah.
You can do that in a food processor or into a plastic bag and beat
Just-
it
yeah.
with a rolling
The
pin.
old-fashioned way.
The old-fashioned way, yeah. Into a bowl and you add 4 ounces of melted butter and you mix until all the breadcrumbs are saturated with the butter, right? And then you press it into a tin. Now, a tip. For cheesecakes, you use a loose bottom tin.
Leave it
if
down
possible.
there, Catherine,
Sorry.
because the camera will get
Loose
it
bottom
there.
tin if possible. Now,
Yeah.
it's always very tricky to get the cheesecake out of the tin, even when you lift off the sides, you've got the bottom to get off. So, I suggest you put the tin upside down. This is where the base would go.
Yes.
Upside down on the dish you're serving it in.
All right.
So then
That's
you
a
just lift
great
it off.
idea. So you
Yeah.
don't have to have the little and slide it off.
That's right, off it comes. So here we
That's why
have.
you're the queen of baking,
I'm
Catherine.
telling
There you go.
I tell you, I'm at it a long time, Tommy.
What
Now,
did you fire in there?
I put in there
Watch your fire.
6 ounces of icing sugar. And
Okay.
because the cream cheese is so soft, you don't have to worry about sieving the sugar. It'll work pretty okay as it is. Now, creamed up like that. This couldn't be easier, really. Here I have half pint of whipped cream. So it's not light on the calories, this isn't.
No, God.
So that's... What do
And
you
now,
mean?
did you...
Is that like half a pint that you buy in the supermarket?
Yeah, 300 mils.
I know it sounds stupid. Like, how did you do the whipped cream?
You
Like,
buy it.
Did you buy it like that?
No, I bought 300 mils of fresh cream and I whipped it.
Yeah.
But did you use that machine first?
Oh, no, I used a 3-speed hand mixer just.
Oh, right.
It's handier.
Okay.
Yeah, much handier.
So could
Now-
you do it, put it in first, and then add the icing sugar, and then add the...
No, you have to fold the cream in at the end.
Okay, grand.
But of course, I've jumped the gun a small bit here.
Okay.
Now,
Stop
here we
asking
have
questions,
4
yeah.
ounces of Toblerone grated, and grated on the coarse side, so that you'll actually get the coarse, a bite of the nougat or nugget. Depends where you went to school, I suppose.
Nougat.
And here I have nougat, and here I have
What's that? Oh, that's the Baileys.
the Baileys going in.
The Baileys.
The Baileys.
Oh, very
Now,
nice.
let's put this on one
How
now.
much Baileys do you put in?
You can put in as much as you want, really.
You can't
is it?
really, yeah.
Really, yeah.
Put a fair old dollop in, I have to say. You know yourself.
Like, you don't want to be overpowering, though, either.
No, you don't want too
No,
much in,
yeah.
no.
It's not going to be... It's still going
Baileys.
to taste nice.
Yeah.
Creamy.
There we go.
Yum.
Now you simply transfer that.
Is that it, Catherine?
That's it.
Wow.
And you just transfer that now completely to the biscuit base. Now, the biscuit base must be put in the fridge for at least an hour.
Oh,
so
to
that
harden up.
To harden up, yeah. Now we just scoop the mixture. Now, a lot of people use a jelly making cheesecake, but the jelly I find, now it makes a nice cheesecake, but it's a bit rubbery.
What do you
Great.
mean?
It's kind of gelatine in it, isn't
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
Yeah, so
This just sets with the cream.
I've never seen that. And a
sure
gelatine
you've-
we
cream
had it there a
cheese.
few weeks
I'm sure
ago.
you've eaten it.
Who cooked it? Who baked it?
It was very nice, but it's not the same.
Not the
It's
same,
just the
no.
cream.
No, much nicer with just the cream.
So what would be the alternative to the gelatine, or what kind of does...
Well, no, we're just using the cream and the cheese here.
Okay.
And then you put this into the fridge, preferably overnight.
Right.
Overnight?
Okay? Overnight,
So
yeah.
you're making this the day before?
You'd make this the day before your party, okay? So now you just spread it out evenly, put that in the fridge and allow it to set. And I have the one we made earlier here. Put that in the fridge
Okay,
now,
so
later on.
this is the trick now.
This is the trick now. There we have it.
That's how we do it.
It was in overnight last night.
So the knife...
Dip a knife into hot water. Yeah. And it'll... We'll just slide it round.
Duck.
What did you say? It's stuck. It's stuck. I was in West Cork during the week. No, 2 weeks ago.
Right.
At a wedding.
Yeah.
And
and what's this story got to do now?
they
West
were all
Cork? Go on,
saying,
tell me.
God, that pair gave you an awful time, Catherine. Everyone I met said it to me. Yeah.
They're not wrong.
Oh, look at that.
Now.
That.
And here we have...
Oh, more cream. Mother of God.
I know here.
Wow.
Oh. Have you got little berries or anything to put on
No,
that?
I'm going to put on some more Toblerone.
Oh, yeah.
Of course you are.
There's a fish swim, as the fella says.
There's the fish swim.
No.
Look at that.
All right, look.
Well, that's a simple
come on,
dessert.
Catherine, you're teasing me now.
Yeah.
Let's
Give me over your plates there.
Yeah, here we go.
There
Gorgeous.
we go. Here, I let Tommy cut it. There you go. Look at that, lads.
you.
That is just gorgeous.
And look how simple it is.
Well, that actually, do you know what? I think I could even make that.
You could. Anybody can make it.
Because you know me.
Tommy, you can make
I'm
it.
so. No,
Excuse me,
Tommy's
Catherine.
good.
Make that. No, I'd love to make that.
Tommy's no problem making that.
That now. Delish.
God's sake.
Look at the little bitine he gave you.
I know,
Mercy.
telling you, I'll be
Mercy
coming
for
in for
Laura.
more.
Now.
Right. Here
Oh
we
my
go.
God.
You
Catherine,
like?
would you like some?
Oh my
Well,
God.
don't you know I have some?
Catherine,
Okay.
absolute
My-
gorgeous. Thank
my
you so
pleasure.
much. Thank you so much.
Do that.
Up next, we've got this month's must-read book. Stay with us. Oh, that is delicious.
It's very strong.
Yeah. The baby.
Welcome back now from Fractured Families to Grassroots GAA. We're taking a look at some of the book releases from this month.
Join us with the perfect page turners is broadcaster and bookworm, Ciara King. Good morning.
Good morning,
Morning.
guys.
Ciara, how are you?
I'm good. I was at Snoop Dogg last night, so I'm a little bit tired, I think.
Tommy was just going do 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 do.
From Snoop
That was so
Dogg
good.
to book reviews. That's how I roll, guys.
Well,
Yeah.
let's start off then for a book to make you feel good. Am I right in saying The Fraud?
The Fraud by Zadie Smith. So Zadie Smith, she kind of burst onto the scene in 2000 with White Teeth, which was her debut novel. And she's an incredible writer. And The Fraud it's a massive book. There's an awful lot to unpack. And she kind of merges fact and fiction in this book as well. So it's based around a woman called Eliza Touché, and she's a Scottish.
Eliza Touché.
Eliza Touché. I know, incredible name. And she's like, she's a Scottish maid, and she's the cousin of a writer called William Ainsworth, and it's set in Victorian London. And it's based around a true trial that actually happened, and that Victorian London were obsessed with, the Tichborne trial, which actually did happen. I think it was in the late 1860s, early 1870s, and it was about a man called Robert Tichborne who was thought to be missing off the coast of Australia. Okay. But his mother wouldn't let it go, and she put up signs in Wagga Wagga in Australia. And then a very innovative man came along and said, wait a second, I'm actually Robert Tichborne. This actually happened.
Oh, right.
But then he was brought to trial in England. And so she, as I said, this book is about that actual trial that did genuinely happen in Victorian London, but also it's got fiction kind of weaved through it. And
Did
Eliza,
the mum not go, no, that you're not him?
Well, I don't want to spoil it, but
Okay,
if you Google the Tichborne trial, you'll see
find
what
out
happened.
more.
There's been a lot of podcasts about that trial as well. Yeah,
and what's interesting about this, when I was reading it, like you think Victorian, you know, London, that things were very, very stuffy or whatever. Do you know what I realised when I was reading the book? Things don't really change, because there was a lot of supporters for this Robert Tichborne, who was obviously a fraud. And it just reminded me of Trump supporters.
Yeah.
And people believing absolutely anything that somebody says, you know what I mean, in front of them. And that's kind of what that book delves into as well. So it is about Victorian London in the 19th century, but it also, you kind of feel like you're reading a book in 2023.
It has universal themes that she always does. She tries
and also
to bring
the chapters are really short. And I think that's how the chapters were written, kind of back in the Victorian times. There's lots of nods to Victorian London, which wasn't as stuffy as I think we imagine it was.
Zadie Smith, one of the, most promising literary fiction writers that has emerged in the last 20
it's her first
years.
historical novel as well.
So how does this compare for fans of Zadie Smith? Is this something that they will really get their teeth into? Because a lot of her work can be quite difficult.
There's a lot to unpack in this book.
Okay.
So you're not going to leisurely... it's not a leisurely read in that, like, I had to really pay attention. I also had to look up the Tichborne trial, which you know what I mean, which I don't know should you have to do when you're reading a book.
Considering the size of the bloody thing as well.
And you don't want homework for your homework.
Exactly.
It's extremely funny. It's extremely, it's very, very funny, and it kind of, it makes fun of male writers in that particular era as well. And it's also a book about writing a book. So as I said, there's an awful lot to unpack.
Layers.
There's loads of layers.
Let's move on to book number 2, The Wren.
The Wren.
Oh, The Wren.
Poetry, like absolute not a poetry.
This is by Anne Enright, one of the best writers.
She's incredible. And when I talk about her writing, I do. So I've got this thing now, because you make me read so many books every month. So terrible. I don't read the back of books anymore. I just give what I'm given, and I just read it. And I kind of love going in blind like that. And so I went in blind with The Wren, and it opens with a character called Nell, who's a girl in her 20s who's trying to navigate a modern day life in Ireland, in Dublin. And when I was reading the actual prose, I was like, this is poetry. Her writing is poetry. But it's kind of intergenerational family dynamics, which she's so good at. If you've read The Gathering, she's really good at that Irish family dynamics in writing. And it's about Nell, who is the daughter of Carmel, who is the daughter of a famous poet called Phil McDara, who is loved and renowned all around the world, and is famous for his poetry, being an incredible poet, but he wasn't a great dad. He wasn't a great father, and he wasn't a great man. And that's kind of unpacked throughout the book. And that's done through, like, Anne Enright has poetry, Maria, written by him, scattered throughout the book. But it's Anne Enright that's written that poetry. So not only has she written an incredible prose, but she's also writing poetry at the same time. The woman is incredibly talented. Carmel is the mother who's trying to get away from the shadow of the ghost of her father, really, that looms over her. And Nell is her daughter, who's the granddaughter of this famous poet. And she's an emerging writer, and she has to kind of deal with his ghost as well.
Looming over her and her career and how she forges her way.
Yeah, it's done so well. It's all about trauma and family trauma, and, things being, down through generations, and how it can affect everyone, and it's just written so brilliantly.
So as fans of Anne Enright, from you mentioned The Gathering, The Green Road, all those kind of things, you're getting what you want from an Anne Enright novel, and we've waited for this one for quite a while. Incredible. So well worth it. For anyone, actually, could they pick it up, fans of Anne Enright? If you might know anything, pick it up,
absolutely. Like, it's
beautiful.
It's a beautifully written book,
Okay, we have a new book by commentator, sports journalist Kieran Murphy. So the life and days and nights in the GA.
This is incredible. So you'd know Kieran Murphy, from Second Captains. Okay. So I didn't grow up in a Ga house, and I understand. And I've always kind of felt like a bit of an outsider as an Irish person. I'm like, didn't grow up in a GAA house. I grew up in a rugby house, and
your mum's from Limerick,
and dad's, you know, Connacht, Munster, whatever. But so I understand obviously GAA, but I don't get it, you know, such. And I read that book and Kieran's book, and it's a really brilliant insight into the importance of, you know, Gaelic games in communities and volunteering across Ireland. And he just has some gorgeous stories about ordinary human beings and the effect that they've had on GAA in their different community. Also, Kieran talks about, you know, the path that led him into sports journalism and broadcasting, obviously part of Second Captains, which is so popular, you know, across Ireland. And he's just got and he's got a great way with words, and he's just got a brilliant way. He's very honest as well in this book about the emotional blackmail that can come with being a lad, playing in GAA, you know, in your local town, and wanting to leave, perhaps, and, you know, and feeling that guilt when you do actually leave. And he's got some brilliant stories, like his father ended up hiring a minivan to bring all the lads to training, but also bring everyone up to Croke Park. He talks about going to Croke Park for the first time, bringing his wife to Croke Park for the first time, and also going along to an All-Ireland with the screenwriter of Taxi Driver, you know, the famous movie Taxi Driver. Right. So there's loads of little nuggets and really important stories. And after reading it, I get it. You know what I mean? I get the importance of GAA in a community.
So this is for anyone. You think
this is for like if I can read this, and as I said, like it's peppered with just so many brilliant stories and inspirational stories and stories about ordinary human beings in the GAA. And I think it's going to be a big one for Christmas. Actually,
this is
if I can say the word.
This is it's fine. This is The Life, Days and Nights in the GAA by Kieran Murphy, and they certainly, those Second Captain boys, are very, very talented.
They are very talented. I know which one I pick. Which one would you pick?
I'm going the Wren.
The Wren. OK, I'm going GAA. Ciara King, as always, great to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Ciara, for coming in. Look so fresh after that last night.
Great haircut as well, I have to say.
Thank you.
Yes, it's gorgeous. Jennifer Wrong is going to be talking skincare trends, and she's going to be answering your skin-related questions. 0896 111 111 to get them into us.
Don't go away. Back here in a few.
This week on Ireland AM, we're getting cosy with Harry. Do you have a conservatory that needs some TLC? Well, here's your chance to win a fantastic prize. How does a Harry Corey home interiors makeover and a new cosy roof sound to you? We're giving you the chance to decorate the space with a €6,000 Harry Corey voucher to make it your own, along with converting your conservatory into a perfect living space. Harry Corey has an extensive range of curtains and curtain pulls, bedding, lamps, towels, and much more for you to choose from that will be a perfect fit in your more energy efficient revamped conservatory. To be in with a chance of winning this great prize, just submit pictures of your conservatory and why it deserves some much needed TLC to irelandamcomp@virginmedia.ie.
I have a lot of texts come through, Al.
A lot of texts have come through. What are they on, Alan?
Some of them, we were talking about energy.
These are the energy prices.
We were talking about energy prices a little earlier on, and like bills have come down, but still double the price that people have been paid in the last couple of years. And I love this. Now, some providers give you a day free of electricity. And Kate says, I get free electricity every Saturday. And I kid you not, I batch cook 5 lunches, 2 dinners, and I do all my washing with the odd bit of drying. I don't leave the house on Saturdays because I take full advantage of the free electricity.
Spool of boss, Kate.
Kate, we love you, Kate.
Well done,
we
Kate.
love you.
It. That's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
Fair play.
Batch cooking 5 lunches.
Even 6 of the dryer on. Good on you. Lisa said, I'm a pensioner and growing increasingly worried as winter draws in. I know they are saying there are going to be price cuts in energy prices, but when will the customer feel the real effect? Yeah, absolutely.
It's still going to be double the price of what it was last year, is what it's looking
like. Yeah, Dara Cassidy on earlier from Bonkers, and he was just...
Like, prices have come down, but still double the price. And you shouldn't have a pensioner starting to get worried now in September about their bills. Like, it's just horrible.
It's warm again this week. I know we're expecting Storm Agnes, but it got warm again kind of this week. But it's going to get cold fairly lively. Kat, last year's budget, the government's 3 or 4 payments really helped. I hope that we get that again. Otherwise, I will not survive.
Yeah, we were talking also earlier on in the show about a lot of the childcare sector going on strike today until Thursday and what impact it's having on so many people. We were also discussing about community workers, which is a real shock for a lot of people. Thousands of health community workers are going to go on strike from Tuesday the 17th of October, all looking for pay parity across the HSE.
So places like Enable Ireland, the Irish Wheelchair Association, various hospital groups, there's so many that are going to be going on strike across the country.
And Andrea said, I am a healthcare community care worker and the workload is exhausting. The wages are so low for work we provide and we need to talk about pay scales, conditions. Strike action is the only option.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Meg says, I manage a day service. The pay parity issue has been bubbling up for years. We just can't keep the staff. Once a recently qualified person once they have their experience because they fund the in-house training, then they just get the in-house training and they move on, and I can't argue with them.
And how can you argue with them?
You
have to get what you can. So the voluntary sector is being hit so much by this. We are going to be talking about this as well because I think people mightn't get how much their community is going to be affected on October the 17th when so many people do go on strike. And thank you so much for all of your messages this morning. We really do appreciate them. And you can keep on sending them in for Jennifer Rock, the Skin Nerd, if you've got any skincare questions. 089 611 111. We'll be talking to her very shortly.
What's that for? There's eggs.
There's eggs in the next bit. We're talking about eggs in the next bit on Ireland AM.
It's going on my face, not in the oven or not in the pan. We'll see in a few minutes. Thanks for staying with us now. Bizarre beauty trends are constantly doing the rounds on social media, but how can you separate fact from fiction?
Well, that's where, thank God, Jennifer Rock steps in with her expertise. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning.
How are you, Jennifer?
Have so much stuff. We have to get into it because you are going to be experimenting on us. Now, the first thing we have to talk about actually is anti-wrinkle injections. We call it Botox, but that's actually the brand name. And so it would appear that people in Dublin are obsessed with it when it comes to Google searches around Europe.
Statistically, we're definitely in the high percentile of those that are intrigued. Whether we're always going through it or not is a different case. And do you know what? I think it's a conversation that can be welcomed. First of all, I'd say it's a conversation that people feel there's a lot of stigma around. They're kind of conscious they don't want to discuss it. They don't know whether they should consider it or not. So firstly, I'd say it's a medical procedure. It should be and has to be legally performed by a medic. It's also an element of science and art. So when you're looking at someone's face, it's ensuring that it's symmetrical, that it's, I suppose the desire is that it's as aesthetically pleasing as is possible. But we know ourselves, I definitely know, come 30, near to 40, 50 and onwards, our facial structure, our muscle starts to change. So when you're considering things like anti-wrinkle injections, it's not to confuse it with skincare. Skincare will help with the tone, the clarity, how it feels, the rough, the redness, the pigment, the colour, the oil levels, example, and that's still needed. But as our muscles start to slacken, as you get that little bit older, there is the option and there's the opportunity to do perhaps together, or maybe it's not for you, and that's where you always come up with alternative options. There's no right or wrong, it's a personal preference. Do your research, go to someone that has accreditation, see their portfolio, have a consult, and then decide if it's for you or not.
Because we had people in here a few weeks ago where you can get a lot of this stuff online now.
That's
you get
terrifying.
them in and the needles come in and everything comes in, and then you sort of go down to get your neighbour to do it for you. You can't
You
be
hit
doing
a blood vessel in your lip, and then your lip turns
your lip falls off, basically. You can't be doing that. You have to go to a professional.
And that's why I start by saying medic, because you can do an element of home waxing it or at home, where you can tint your eyelashes at home. Like, there's elements of what you can do in a beauty salon at home safely, but when it comes to putting injectables, toxins, you know, paralysing muscles to a degree into your body, it has to be.
You are paralysing your
the anatomy and physiology. And if something doesn't go right, you need to be in safe hands. So medic, and personal preference, because I do think there's a conversation around, should I be getting it done? It's whatever you feel good with within yourself.
It's also two separate things to skincare.
Absolutely.
It's completely different to skincare. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to talk about a beauty trend that is sweeping social media, darling. Isn't that what's happening? This is about face tape, facial taping, and there are two different types. So the first one we're going to look at, it gives an instant result.
So you literally get this.
So essentially what you're looking at in this particular video is that they're almost, I suppose, clipping, for want of a better description.
Everyone watch this, because I watched this about 17 times in a row.
It's quite fascinating. So if you watch one side of her face versus the other, she's essentially using quite a strong tape. She ties it around her head. She'll let her hair down, as you see at the end. And you can see a noticeable, visible, measurable lift, should I say.
And then do you put makeup then over that?
You can, because they're tiny little adhesives, so you can't put makeup straight over it. So it does change the shape of the face, and it does elongate, and you can change contours. And it's been done for decades.
I was going to say, this is not new. Hollywood stars used to do this
100%.
years ago, do that, and then the wig would go on and the face would be up there.
It totally changes the face,
Jean Harlow,
shape.
like that sort of time, Yul Brynner, all that kind of stuff.
Literally.
So it's bringing 1920s into 2023.
Yeah. What was the wire around it? Is that just a
to
piece
hold
of string?
Yeah, so because I suppose if you think about it, it has to hold on to something, so it's essentially holding around to itself. So it's just giving that lift.
See, men couldn't do it. Men couldn't do it because you'd need to cover it up with a bit of makeup.
Ideally, you're camouflaging with a little bit of makeup, yes, or your hair is kind of camouflaging it. But if you're facing forward every day, Helen, like you are to the camera,
men wear makeup as well. When men wear makeup, so but I'm saying, okay, plenty of men wear makeup. I stand corrected.
Now, come here to me. Can I do this every morning?
You could do it every morning, absolutely. I just don't know if you would want to necessarily.
No,
it seems
I'm very
like a
lazy.
lot of work.
Putting on makeup annoys me in the morning. Alan,
but it's an option for you.
Would it be comfortable though? Would it?
I've tried it. I've genuinely tried it. Which are we doing? The next part.
Can you do the instant? No.
The instant we don't have. So what we have, so there's two options. There's that instant one, and then we have what's essentially kinetic tape. So as Tommy said before the break, it's kinesiology. So it's essentially, if you feel it, it's kind of like a fabric format. So the concept behind this, again, I'm sure there's a video to show it. I know it looks like a little octopus. This is my fantastic cutting skills. I feel like this was art class brought into. So essentially why you're doing it. So if you feel it, and so example, if you put one up, put one on you now. So if you really are, say, starting to become conscious of the eye area, or so I'm going to place it just, there's no et voila.
And what happens?
So ideally I would apply this all around your eyes. That's it, exactly. So what you're trying to do, so you sleep on this. So let me start at the beginning. So this is kinetic tape. The whole concept is it's anti-inflammatory, helps the lymphatic system and aids circulation. So the goal is that it brings blood to the area. So if you think about it, when you use it from a kinesiology perspective or from a sports perspective, it's for anything that's kind of causing heat to the skin or anything that's essentially when there's kind of inflammation in the area.
She's a bigger lump, though. She's a bigger bit than you had now, Myrne.
Very
she's a beautiful little forehead. But the goal is you position it in different places where you want to get that lift. Now, the jury is out whether it truly gives a lift to the muscle, but what it can do is help with inflammation, circulation, and it does give it like a temporary taut sensation. Now, when you watch anything on TikTok, I'm slightly dubious.
Very dubious.
For example, like this tape is from a good friend of mine, Face. She's going to kill me for not getting her name right. I'm so sorry, Agnes. It's Face Yoga by Agnes.
Face Yoga, Face Yoga by Agnes.
And she's available, like so many people know her across Ireland. But these are her pieces of material. And the reason I'm showcasing this is that you can go and you can buy this in your local DIY hard store. But actually, it's about getting one that's specific for skin and it's very easy to use. So essentially, it comes in a roll like that. I've cut it up into different shapes. If we were to continue on with Myrne, we put it all around her eye.
But what does that do there now?
The goal of that is that it's helping lymphatic and that it's helping.
So I put it on my nasal labial folds.
She knows her technology, her word. So essentially, it's supposed to give a lift. So you don't actually stretch the muscle. You got makeup on, so it's harder to adhere. Do it at night time. You sleep in it. So you're talking 7 or 8 hours. So for example, you'd place this across the forehead here. The one that I had cut earlier, you would place along the neck, and you give a little lift to the neck. It stays taped all night, and it just means that I dream. I'm so animated when I sleep. I've been told 1,000 times it prevents you from being as animated. So you wake up and you can't see it.
You're saying the jury's out in it, but at the same time, it's not doing you any harm to putting on it. And as you said, if it reduces inflammation and stuff like that, and that's proven.
That's proven.
Look at her.
So
She's
the
going to look
inflammation
fabulous
proven,
tomorrow.
the circulation absolutely is shown.
Can you imagine Phil coming to bed at night?
What are you doing?
Okay,
now something that we can do at home, we don't have to buy. We all have eggs in the fridge or in the cupboard or wherever you keep your egg.
So this is a huge trend on TikTok at the moment, where essentially, obviously within the egg, you have the egg yolk and the egg white. So we've divided these out. So you have your, as you can see, your yellow here, and you have your white there. So the goal is that you have your skin nice and cleansed, ideally, and then you just paint the product on. The product being the egg, right? So as you say, everyone has it at home. So why would you do this? Well, essentially, there's different benefits to both. Are we going to go with the white?
Yeah, work away.
So here's one I prepared earlier. Alan, I'm so proud that I get to say that in my life. So essentially, I have the egg white here. So there's different ingredients in it, your B2, your B3, your lecithin. This is a little bit cold, I am sure, and it's not the nicest of sensations. So you just literally paint it on. So you've broken up the egg, you divide it out, you put it on all over. Do be careful of the eye area. It is raw food. Make sure, obviously, there's no allergies. I'm sure that goes without saying.
Yeah.
But essentially, why would you choose the yellow or why would you choose the white? Well, the white is essentially going to, mind your hair there. It's ideal for someone that has kind of oily skin or pores. It helps to kind of, it really does help to mattify the skin, to be fair. And then if you're going for the egg, or the yellow, should I say, the yolk of the egg, it's more that you're going for hydration. So again, quick fix, affordable, something that's home in the fridge.
How long do you leave this on for?
About 10 to 15 minutes. You'll notice this now on Alan, this will go quite hard. Yes. It'll feel quite tight.
It's already tightening up.
It's because it evaporates quite quickly, so it does dry into the skin quite quickly. All I would suggest is that instead of frictioning it off, after about 15 minutes, get a face cloth and dab it into the skin so you kind of break down the egg, to be honest, and then remove it. So it's something fun to do at home.
I like that feeling. I like that tight feeling now.
I used to put this on with a strip of toilet paper and use it as a Biore strip to try to take blackheads off.
DIY
Do you know, kind of like trying to do something like that.
And what's the egg?
Hydrate the yolk for
yolk
hydrating. So the white is essentially when you're trying to have a demattifying, or you're trying to really mattify the skin, draw out oil. The yellow is more for hydration. So depending on what you want.
Does it work?
You see a difference in it. The hydration, definitely, it's undeniable. You can make a difference.
Wow.
But with this, I don't know if it makes a big difference on top.
But cost effective. It's amazing.
Cost effective.
If you could send in, we've got more questions. If you want to send in questions for Jen, she's going to be answering them in just a little while. Oh, 6 111 111.
Right through the
Lots more coming on Ireland AM. We'll talk to you very shortly.
There we go. I have to give Derek a few seconds to get ready before we go back down.
It's a lot to whip off.
Exactly.
But do you know what I love about Derek going around the country like that? I didn't realise that these guys had won a European Championship.
It's phenomenal. Gold medal as well.
You miss those type of things. And I love when he goes around the country and you like yesterday in the Rock and Roll Museum. When are you visiting?
I'm definitely looking forward to visiting that as well. Now, Derek is ready. So to celebrate winning gold at the European Championships, Derek is live with Team Ireland's Down Syndrome artistic swimmers.
Yeah, Derek, it's over to you.
Yes, good morning, team, and welcome down here to Trim and County Meath. We're having a great morning here with Down Syndrome Ireland's artistic swimming team, European champs, would you believe, just back from Padova in Italy. We're joined now by their swimming coach, Aoife Drum. What an incredible achievement, Aoife, for a team that got together quite recently.
Yes, Derek, we've been training for about 2 years, and we went over this year to European Games just to learn how the games work, meet the other teams, get a bit of experience, maybe tell the teams, OK, we're not as strong as you yet, but we will be in the future. Not having any idea we might get a medal, and then we bring home gold.
And you came out of it with gold. And I suppose you were telling me earlier on, you really weren't expecting it.
No, we went over, we did a lot of talking about it. The other teams have been doing it longer. Some teams have been training for 15 years. So we thought, we're going to just learn. We're going to watch, we're going to learn, we're going to see, we're going to experience. And then on the day, we won.
Which is a fantastic, it really is an incredible achievement. The group itself, it's been together about a year and a half now. How did you pull them all together?
A couple of years ago, I was doing an interview on radio when Eleanor's parents heard me and got in contact. They wanted to start the artistic swimming. So we said we'd start it, and they asked, do you think we'll go into competition? And my answer was, if you're willing to put in the work, I am. So they were willing to put in the work, and they did.
Artistic swimming. In fact, we've had a name change because it used to be synchronised swimming. Why the name change?
So it was changed in 2017 to be more in line with gymnastics, because everyone knows gymnastics has rhythmic gymnastics, artistic gymnastics. Synchronised swimming was still a very, while it's popular among people who know it, not as much outside. So the name change was try and garner a bit more interest and to really highlight what it is. It is synchronising, but it is also very artistic what we do.
You are the coach. You crack the whip. I've seen you here earlier on this morning. What's it like training this bunch?
I actually got very lucky with this group because a lot of them are in the same dance team together. So the team dynamics were already nearly formed. So we really just had to work on the water bit.
And from there, then we progressed up.
Yes.
And obviously now, European champions.
Yes, European champions.
Which is a fantastic achievement. We're joined now by Eleanor Murray. Good morning to you, Eleanor.
Morning.
Good morning. And how does it feel to be European champion?
I'm feeling I'm much Potter. I asked him European champion.
You're very proud, and not only, I believe, is this your first medal, but you've been swimming for a good few years now.
Yes, I have. I have been swimming for years. I have been swimming in 10 years.
10 years now. It's an incredible achievement, Mum Liz, isn't it?
It is. It's just fantastic. It's absolutely brilliant. And the group is only set up less than 2 years ago.
2 years.
So it's wonderful.
Wonderful. Dúltar, come over here to you. Tell us, do you enjoy the artistic swimming?
I do. It was a good experience and I'm enjoying it, yes.
And what was it like competing then over in Padova in Italy in the European Champs?
Yeah, so that would have been my very first championship ever. I never done this before. It was actually a good experience. I got to learn, and I was in Portugal, in Albufeira, with Aoife and I saw the people doing their stuff as well, and they were, and yeah.
And as a European champ, you're a gold medalist, did you feel a lot of pressure in the pool to perform?
No, there wasn't really pressure. Aoife pushes us really hard and practices us very hard, and even when she shouts at us, I know she tries her best.
You try your best, but you enjoy it and you love it.
Yes, I do, yeah.
And Dad Finney, like as I said to Mum Liz there, it is a great achievement. Group.
It's a tremendous achievement. I think no small way, I think we owe a great gratitude to Liz and her late husband Tom, who set the whole thing up and put this whole thing in train. And to achieve what they did in such a short time, I just think it's fantastic, because they are just super. And as a group, though, they really, really, really showed what they're made of.
Yeah, they really gelled together. Now, I know you guys are going to pop into the pool, so you're going to derobe. Off you go there, pop in there to the pool, and Aoife is going to look after you. And I suppose what they're going to do now is take us through a little bit of the routine, the performance routine that they had over in Padova in Italy. It is the winning performance where they actually performed to no less than Dermot Kennedy. So that was their performance in the pool where they scooped a gold medal. So you're going to pop in there into the pool. Are you ready to go, Aoife? I'm going to hand it over to you now, and you're going to get the guys ready. All right, good lad. In you go into the pool. Give them a big round of applause. In we go.
Quick. Remember, Dúltar, you're over
girl.
there.
Pop it. Oh, he's straight in. There we go. Mind yourself now.
Now, Eleanor, sit and slide. You be a bit safer.
In we go. All right, Aoife, you take it away there.
Now, Katie, middle line. Now go on, Eleanor, over there beside Fintan, quick as you can. Middle line, come forward one.
Some summer night, I hope I see you.
Eleanor, you're on the other side of Fintan, go up the pool. Fintan, come back down beside Katie, we're doing the link.
I'd love to stay. Some summer night, I hope I see you.
Nose clips on. Eleanor, move over a little bit. Dúltar, shoulders and weight. So you ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1.
Wow. They're all the mums and dads here. Aoife, that's incredible. Where can people find out more online, by the way?
On the Dublin Sinker Facebook page and Aura Trim page as well.
And also we want to say a big thank you to our lifeguards here this morning.
Eleanor and Teresa, thank you very much.
Okay, well done. A big clap from everyone here. Hope you enjoyed that here at Trim County Meath. Back to the studio. Love that. Well done, everyone.
Honestly,
absolutely fantastic.
And the pressure of live TV there, we really do appreciate you.
Well done to Liz and her late husband for setting that up. Amazing.
It's amazing. We were talking about the strikes earlier on the volunteer sector. This is why it is so important.
Gorgeous.
We're going to have your questions coming up for Jennifer Rock next on Ireland AM. Welcome back. Jennifer Rock is here to answer your questions that you have sent in. Thank you so much for that, Jennifer. We're going to start with Mary. Mary wants to know what affordable hydrating moisturiser you would recommend for a 40-year-old.
So I think it's all about getting hydration into the skin. If you pick up this product, Alan, I promise you faithfully you're going to like it. Why? So it's Clarins water cream with organic corn flour. It's 98% natural.
It's a gel.
I love a gel. Cooling, so hydrating.
I love a
into
gel.
the skin, instant shock of hydration. It's plant-based, it's hyaluronic in it, glycerine in it. So if you're looking for something to bring into your life, it's affordable. It goes such a long way. This is definitely one to consider. And I think it's definitely one because actually why I particularly like it is that it shows that when you put it on at night, so you might not need it in the morning, it keeps your skin hydrated for 24 hours. So I quite like it for that reason.
Lovely. Now, next up, Claire is feeling down post-summer holidays.
Yeah.
Oh, aren't we all? But, I get this as well, pigmentation and freckle marks, and they're more evident from the sun. She's wondering, apart from laser treatment, which is quite excessive, what can she use?
So I think it's a brilliant question because there's a lot you can do topically, but there's always the goal to look inside out. You guys know how much I say this. Yeah. So what you have in front of you there, Alan, is the Advanced Nutrition Programme. It's their Skin Even IQ. It's their newest edition. So if you open it up, it's almost like a book. And
so
it comes
just like taking tablets
It's supplements inside. So if you think about pigmentation, where it actually starts is the cell damage is done internally. So you're trying to address that internally. Each of those little pods, you can see the tiny one there in front.
So is this a day's, you have to take all of these a day?
So inside you have Skin Bright, which is their newest supplementation. So it has ingredients like copper, vitamin C, vitamin B3 in there, which is known. Studies show that it really helps to limit that pigmentation. Plus inside that little pod, not only that, but you're getting your blue filter, your vitamin C, antioxidants and coenzyme Q10. So extremely anti-aging and really helps to inhibit pigmentation. The studies show, Jenny, just go double check I'm right, 88% reduction in pigmentation within a 12-week period and 74% decrease of those darkening spots that we tend to see that are quite significant. Inside out,
would you take them before you go to the sun then, or is it when
ideally,
afterwards?
So a lot of us, myself included, have pigmentation 365. So now is the time of year to really up the ante. So for Claire's question, this is one to consider.
So it's like your meal prep, it's all there for you, good to go.
Done.
We're going to move on to Sonia, and Sonia's looking for some tips on sluggish skin. She's turning 50 soon and recently finished chemo. And Sonia, we hope that you were doing brilliantly. Congratulations on getting through it.
Yes. So for that reason alone, sluggish skin, you want to help kind of give that brightness, that clarity, the hydration. For someone post-chemo, we want to be careful of what ingredients we're putting on the skin. We don't want to cause sensitivity, irritation, and so my go-to would be the Irish brand Ella & Joe. Miriam, you'll love the feel of this. I think you've tried it before. Extremely hydrating, hyaluronic serum. It's very affordable. It has hyaluronic in, which is like a drink for the skin, but it also has peptides in there, Matrixyl 3000. So when you're coming towards 50 and you want to be careful with your skin post-chemo, as you said, and you want that anti-aging element without irritation, without acids, this is one to go for. A little goes a long way. Immediate hydration, definitely one to consider for Sonia.
Absolutely.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, a little goes a long way.
It really
Love
does.
that.
Now, Jane saw the last time you were on, we were talking about the different stone. Remember, we were doing it on the
Jane
stone.
saw you, Alan.
Well, saw me using it, yeah. And just wondering what product you would use with that if you were going to use them.
That's a great question. So we spoke the last time about jade rolling and how it kind of lifts the face. This is essentially, again, an Irish brand.
So gua sha and jade rolling.
And we had face icing. So this is kind of bringing all those three concepts together. So another Irish brand, Solista Beauty. Essentially what you have here is a cryo cool tool and you have your serum. So you can actually get, these are Irish, This is Una, a good friend of mine. So essentially this product is the serum. So you can use it as a standalone product, has licorice vitamin C, really great for brightening the skin. That's the memo this time of the year. Whereas you actually get the cryo, and I'll just show you here what I did earlier. You basically place the serum into the tool, and not only do you get your serum and you get all the benefits, but you'll evenly distribute it.
I was wondering what it was, so that goes around your face then.
So you'll see the serum is coming out there like that. So you'd literally apply it to the skin, and then you get the coldness, the coolness, the anti-inflammatory,
I've
the
done
aluminium.
everything else this morning. So you basically just rub it on.
Motions outwards. So not only how cold is that? Isn't that genuinely divine?
Keep it in the freezer.
You don't have to. Like that's so cold. Literally feels quite warm. So lifting outwards, aluminium really cold, and then you're getting the benefit of the ingredients inside there as well. So you got your niacinamide, you got your squalene. So serum and aluminium.
I'll be glowing today after me egg wash, facial, and everything.
There'll be none left. So there's one thing you've got there. Sinead, I have tried sheet masks, but I'm not sure which one is the best one. Are they all the same and do they really work? Please answer this question that I am always talking about.
So first of all, Sinead, I know you're still in love with that. I generally love it. So to answer the question about sheet masks, there's so many different types from €1 right up to whatever budget you might have. The honest answer is I'm always looking for something with biocellulose. So essentially biocellulose means that it's got a nice lightweight texture to it. It means it adheres quite evenly and calmly. But it's actually about the ingredients. It's always going to be about the ingredients. So
are they not all the same then?
They're not. They really aren't, Alan. I promise you faithfully.
So even if you buy the expensive ones, they mightn't be as good as maybe the
Not
cheaper
always.
ones?
Sometimes, unfortunately, in skincare, it can be a little bit more to do with marketing.
So which one is this?
So this is your Neostrata. This is, if you have a little feel of it there, you'll see both sides. It comes kind of with the gauze.
Yeah, you've got to put
so
it
you take it off.
Oh, I'm the guinea
Alan's
pig
getting
again.
it.
Here we
The
go.
official name of this one is the Pure Hyaluronic Acid Biocellulose Mask. Why I want to draw attention to this one and just take the kind of gauze off the front of it there is that it's 0.15% hyaluronic acid, so it's an awful lot of key ingredients. Take the gauze off the top there.
Oh, sugar, there's more gauze on.
There's more, yeah. So the 0.15% essentially means that you're getting a lot of key ingredients into the skin. So this, to answer your question, it isn't the same as other sheet masks. There are many on the market, but this is definitely one I give a thumbs up to. Affordable, one use only, quick difference, brilliant for Friday night, skin is tired, going somewhere.
So what are the ingredients we should, what are the ingredients we should be looking out for on the pack?
Hyaluronic acid, because the sheet mask, its sole focus is to give that hydration. So what you're looking for in this particular one is the fact that it has the 0.15%. But you look beautiful.
Should they be in the fridge or not? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. Like, it really can, but like, it's so cooling, so hydrating. And you could actually use something like your aluminium, your jade stone, your cryo gloves.
Use it like this.
And then you...
And you're absolutely right, genuinely. Whatever's left, there's so much, like 20 ml of product, put it all over, squeeze it out.
Sorry, the skin nerd did the best
Jennifer
thing.
Rock.
She's been unbelievable.
There we go.
Jennifer Rock, thank you so much.
I'm going home glowing. Tommy, come over and have some face masks.
From Hannibal Lecter over here.
It actually works wonders on you, Al, to be fair. Best I've seen you looked in a long time. Now, coming up on tomorrow's show, Schitt's Creek screenwriter has released her debut novel, and we're going to ask you, would you swap a smartphone for a dumb phone? We're going to speak to a woman who's done just that. We're back tomorrow from 7. Have a great day. Look at that. Beautiful.